Hey guys, I'm Layla.
And I'm Joel, and welcome to the Undecided Podcast.
Today, Joel and I are going to be talking about Bigfoot.
So, as most of you know, Bigfoot is probably one of the largest conspiracy theories out there. I mean, they have TV shows, there's videos and drone footage of all this stuff. But personally, I am not a Bigfoot believer.
I am a Bigfoot loyalist.
I think there's a lot of people out there who are, and I think there's a lot of people who are not. Have you ever seen the Finding Bigfoot show?
No, I haven't.
It's actually really interesting. I used to watch it all the time. It used to come on really late.
I'm a fake Bigfoot fan.
No, but there'd be so many times where I'd be watching it and I'd be like, there's no way that people are expected to believe this. They would go out in the woods and they would take sticks and they would bang them against trees and then say stuff like, well, this is how Bigfoot, this is a Bigfoot call.
Okay. But imagine if you were in the woods of the Midwest one day for whatever reason and you saw a biped gorilla and you tried to tell people and nobody believed you.
And everyone just thought you were crazy?
Yes.
I know. I mean, I'm sure it's frustrating, but I guess my thing is, so many people have said they've seen Bigfoot. And I think the number one reason I don't believe in Bigfoot is because with technology today, I mean, everyone has a phone. All smartphones take cameras, drone footage, all that. How is it possible that we do not have any hard evidence of Bigfoot?
That's not exactly true because in the 80s, these two guys were out riding their horses and they took the first ever video that we have of Bigfoot walking into the forest away from them.
In the 80s?
In the 80s, yeah.
Interesting. Where was this? Do you know?
I do know. It's on YouTube. We can watch it right now and we'll link it for our listeners to watch.
Let's watch it. Do you know where did you say it was?
YouTube.
No, I mean the place, where in the world?
Yeah.
Was it out west?
Their names Their names were Roger Patterson and Robert Gimlin, and they were riding their horses in Bluff Creek, a wooded area in Northern California, when they said they came upon an ape-like creature. The creature started to flee, but Patterson said he managed to film it before it disappeared into the brush. So the film is less than a minute long.
Okay.
It's very wobbly, but you can see.
Let's see it.
You can see Bigfoot.
Okay, let's see here. Oh no.
We can't play the video.
Okay, guys, well, never mind. No video today. But I mean.
Yes, we can.
Oh,
actually. It's
just
right here.
kidding. Video's
Psych.
here.
All right, we're watching the Bigfoot video right now.
I'll give everyone play-by-play. It's very shaky.
Very shaky.
You can tell this man was nervous. Very startled at the sight of Bigfoot.
Fight or flight?
I know. He's running. So far we have... Oh,
Do you see him?
I do. Okay.
Okay, so some people have said that this is a man in a costume.
Yep.
But then some cryptozoologists have said that the movement could not be replicated by a human.
I guess here's my thing.
Okay.
First of all, Bigfoot, he didn't even turn around. They said he was fleeing.
Mm-hmm.
That was walking. That was a stroll away.
Okay. Well,
Isn't Bigfoot supposed to be mean?
no. He is actually reported to be very shy, which is why we allegedly do not have pictures and videos of him,
Okay.
and why he is walking away in the one concrete video that we do have.
Interesting.
But there's another video by another cryptozoologist. His last name is Freeman, and we can watch that too. And I think these are the only two videos that we have of Bigfoot.
The only two?
I
But that's
think
what I
so.
mean. When I'm saying this looked like it had to be 90s. And
Yes.
so, like, how is that
Maybe
possible?
Bigfoot died. Maybe Bigfoot was real and then he died.
So that was going to be my next put. Okay, wait. First of all, guys, we're looking at the video right now.
Yeah, we're watching a video by Freeman. And Bigfoot doesn't seem to notice him because he's just strolling through the woods.
Interesting. I think that is my biggest issue with all these Bigfoot videos, is that we never get Bigfoot actually like on camera. It is him walking away from the camera.
He's on the camera though.
Very non-animalistic.
Okay.
But don't you think people like that would fake it for the fame?
That is what some people have said. But
like our friends Roger and Robert?
Maybe. But you know our fingerprints on our hands? So the equivalent to that for feet are called dermal ridges. And there were these footprints found with dermal ridges in them by Freeman, because Freeman is like this known cryptozoologist who loves Bigfoot, right? And he's like recorded his sound and seen him and stuff. And he found these footprints. And all of these anthropologists are studying these footprints, and they're like, well, you can't really fake dermal ridges. But then this other guy, I forget his name, but he was like, actually, Freeman used to be a cobbler, so he has access to a lot of shoe sizes, so he could have faked it, but we don't know.
Okay, see, that's what I mean.
It's suspicious.
I guess I wouldn't believe a guy who comes out as a Bigfoot lover and not expect any bias.
No, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting. I mean, you have seen so many pictures, videos, stuff like that online about Bigfoot. But I guess, I mean, there's TV shows about it. And I feel like every time I see something about Bigfoot, either it's on the internet or if it's on TV, I feel like it always changes. I feel like, I mean, like you said, that's the 80s.
Yeah.
How
and
long
the
has
90s.
Bigfoot been around? Did he die?
Allegedly,
Is there multiple Bigfoot?
the late 60s is when the first set of footprints were found.
Okay.
But the guy who found them came out after his death. Like, his children were like, actually, that was just a practical joke that he let go on way too long. Like,
Okay.
he made those footprints. So the first set of footprints were not real, but the videos have not been doctored. So there's something going on in the videos.
Something's missing. Definitely.
I think that Bigfoot probably just died. Because,
That's
like,
okay.
you know, like, I feel like we haven't gotten any other videos since then, but these two are, like, confusing enough for the general population that, like, there's something there.
Okay. I mean, I think I could get behind that.
Okay.
So maybe Bigfoot at one time was alive,
Yeah. Maybe he was
He
a
died.
rogue gorilla.
but now everyone just wants to profit off of what he was. What do you mean, rogue gorilla? Are you saying like rogue as in?
Like, maybe a gorilla escaped from a zoo or, like,
Interesting.
or traveled from their natural habitat in some way.
And do you think it was almost like a?
That's why I feel like, because there's not even really 10 years between those two videos that we've seen. So maybe this gorilla was just in the woods and then he passed away of natural causes.
Okay, I mean that makes sense. I mean, so, what do you say, Northern California or Southern California?
Okay, so one of the videos was in Northern California.
That was
but-
Roger and Robert.
Yes.
So I guess, but I mean, a gorilla escape from a zoo, but I don't think gorillas. I don't think they have big feet.
Okay, so what I'm hearing in some of the research, though, is that anything found about Bigfoot that is convincing whatsoever is either in Washington State or Northern California, and that says something to me.
Okay, we have a
Because, like,
habitat.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, like, I feel like that is convincing enough in that it is in the same general area.
Okay.
And if there were, like, convincing evidences in, like, the Midwest or the East Coast, then it'd be a little bit less believable because this guy is not traveling cross country on the reg.
Yeah, no, he's not.
No.
Bigfoot is not walking across the country and not getting seen at all.
Right.
That's just what I find interesting.
Like,
So
imagine
maybe he
seeing
is
Bigfoot.
staying up in that
Yeah.
northwest kind of area. Interesting. But I mean, what an odd location for Bigfoot. In my head, I'm like, Bigfoot belongs in like the mountains.
Okay, but there are two other names for Bigfoot, and that is Sasquatch and
Yeti.
Yeti.
Okay,
and
yes.
Yeti is northern.
Yeah.
He's like always depicted with like the white fur. So maybe he came from like Canada, just crossed over the border.
Yeah, I also think though that Yeti is something that like wasn't that found on like Mount Fuji in Japan?
I don't know.
That's what I think though, is like that's what I mean. I mean, are there multiple Bigfoot by region? Maybe you're right. Maybe Bigfoot was an evolution of a gorilla.
I actually have some really interesting information for you.
I'm excited.
So they did a hair strand test.
Okay.
Okay. Some hunters and scientists submitted hair samples, and they were like, test these. We think it's Bigfoot or Sasquatch or Yeti or whatever. And the scientists tested them, and all of them matched up with some kind of like domesticated animal, except for two, which they didn't match with anything that we have.
Okay.
However, their closest genetic relation was an extinct species of polar bear. And what do polar bears have? They have white fur.
Okay.
Like the Yeti.
So we're thinking about the Yeti right now.
Yeah. Same guy. Different legend.
Interesting.
So that was really interesting to me because it doesn't necessarily prove anything except for the fact that there is an animal out there whose hair does not match anything that we have, but it does match that of an extinct species of polar bear.
I guess what puts me off about Bigfoot is like, is it an animal? Is it some all internal being? I mean, is it multiple?
What if
what
it
does
has
Bigfoot
always
eat?
been a man in a costume and he's just been living in the woods for like 50 years? And like Bigfoot's real, but like he's just a guy.
And that's why you think that we've seen.
I don't know.
Interesting.
I just thought of that right now.
I mean, that's a quick poll. That could be groundbreaking. I agree. I just don't know. I don't know. I've always found Bigfoot to be interesting because, like I mentioned earlier, every single time you hear about him, he's different. Trust me, I watched a lot of Finding Bigfoot. And each episode, they were like naming a different attribute about Bigfoot. One of them said that Bigfoot, when he's in the wild, will go sit like in like a deep pond and he'll fully submerge himself and he'll wait for deer to come up and drink from the pond. And then he'll reach and grab them in and like pull them in.
I've heard that Bigfoot is an herbivore.
See, that's just what I mean, though, is like we hear so many different things about Bigfoot.
But to be fair, I don't think anyone's ever seen Bigfoot eat, and maybe that's where the confusion comes from. Like, we're just guessing.
I mean...
But to go along with what you just said about submerging himself in the water, there is a cast called the Skookum cast, and that is allegedly a cast of Bigfoot's imprint in the ground where he laid nearby a brook.
I'm now looking at it.
Yes, and the ground was damp.
So my first issue with this is that this person in this cast...
I think that's Freeman.
That is...
I think...
The Skookum Freeman, you're right.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's our Bigfoot lover. That's our guy.
Yeah.
My issue immediately, he has 3 things labeled butt. all with
like question marks though.
Yeah.
He's really confident about one because he labeled it
buttock. Yes.
Yeah.
So, but then we have butt,
question
and
mark.
then we have heel, no question mark. And then elbow, forearm, wrist, hand.
Maybe he thinks that Bigfoot was like moving around. And that's like why
I understand,
he has shifted places.
So for our listeners, to explain this Skookum cast, it's almost like Bigfoot was laying on his side. Is that how you would describe that?
Yes, because it doesn't appear to have an imprint for the head.
Yes, it's almost like he was sitting like on his butt, on his side, and kind of leaning over. Yeah,
Like
that's what
his
I would
like
say.
head was maybe resting on his hand because he has an
Yes,
arm imprint.
like full laid out,
Yeah.
relaxed, just Bigfoot being a dude.
Okay, but my thing is this cast is a little bit weird because why is his leg and his arm so close together? Where's his abdomen? Like where is that supposed to be? Like do you see that cast?
I'm trying to envision if
Like
I.
that doesn't
Do you
give
think he was laying like? See, yeah,
like
I
that
think
does
we're
not make
slowly
sense.
realizing that Freeman might be a little bit of a cuckoo. I don't know. I'm interested.
He might
And I
be.
think, I mean, props to Freeman.
Yeah.
He has made a career of this. I mean, we can't go against the guy. Is Freeman still alive?
I don't know. Let's find out.
You should look that up. But no, I don't know. I just think
Okay.
Bigfoot has always been a conspiracy theory to me that I feel like is really far out there.
It is. So his name is Paul Freeman.
Paul Freeman.
And he died in 2003.
Oh.
Yes. He's known as an American Bigfoot hunter.
Mm.
And he claimed to discover his tracks showing the dermal ridges. I think that's his like claim to fame.
Okay.
Okay, and he made those casts. Like he found those imprints in the ground
Mm-hmm.
and made the casts out of plaster, the skookum cast.
Very interesting.
Okay, but again, it was in the Washington area because he submitted all those things to Washington State University.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that he just happened to live in the Washington area?
Maybe.
Do you think, crazy pull out of the blue here, Paul Freeman is our man? He's our Bigfoot. Remember when you mentioned earlier
oh
that?
Oh my God. No, because he was born in 1943. That puts him before the first tracks were found, before the video. Maybe he was inspired by the fake tracks. And then he was like, I'm gonna profit off of this.
I mean, he is a cryptozoologist.
Yeah, because there was a newspaper that published the footprints. The newspaper was the Humboldt Times, and the headline was Giant Footprints Puzzle Residents.
Interesting.
So maybe Freeman saw that headline and he was like, oh, this is going to be fun.
I mean, think about it. Maybe Freeman was a zoologist his whole life and he was doing such boring research and then was like, this is going to get me nowhere. No fame, no anything. And I think he saw that and had a vision.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine if you were the guy who discovered Bigfoot. You're going to win awards. You're going to be a name known forever.
True.
Oh my gosh.
But he also had a history as a cobbler. So maybe he saw the footprints and he was like, I can do that. I can replicate these footprints because I'm a shoemaker.
But was he also a zoologist?
He was a cryptozoologist, which literally just means like Bigfoot guy.
Oh, so he was a fake zoologist.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, like cryptozoologist, it's like
I gave Paul Freeman too much credit.
Like pseudoscientist, like it's,
okay. We're gonna half count that one. Okay. But no, I mean I think that.
I mean, he lives in the area.
And I think it was, the first video was in 1980. You said.
It was
actually.
No. I think it was in 87. Let me.
Okay, so 87. So 1980s. And I mean, just Northern California.
No. I was wrong. It was 67. So it was pretty soon after.
1967.
It was actually, I think the same year that the footprints were found. That the video was taken. Like the fake footprints.
Oh. And you said our man Paul Freeman was born in 1943?
Mm-hmm.
And what is that, 24 years later?
That was quick math.
That's very something a 24-year-old would do.
I was just thinking that.
I mean, yeah.
The age really matches.
Imagine, oh my gosh.
Maybe he just like got too deep into it. And
he's a 24-year-old making shoes for a living, and he's like, what's all this Bigfoot ruckus about? And then all of a sudden he's like, wait a second, I can be Bigfoot. And then he's like, oh, I can make a fortune off of this. And then he somehow got deemed the title of cryptozoologist.
Well, there's a couple cryptozoologists, believe it or not. I think it's just people who study cryptids, like Like the
Bigfoot.
Loch Ness Monster,
Okay.
Bigfoot.
But I mean, being born in 1943, I have to assume that
He
he
might
has
have
to
been
be
one of the first.
one of the pioneers of
Yes,
cryptozoology.
100%.
Interesting.
Okay. So the first footprints, it looks like, were in 1958. And so that's 10 years later.
Okay.
So even then, how old was he in 58?
He was born in
43.
1943, so he's about 15.
Okay. Still, I feel like a 15-year-old boy thing to do.
Yeah.
Like to gain interest in that.
I mean, I don't know when he started his cobbling career, but
I don't know.
I can definitely imagine the sound of being Bigfoot to be enticing. Very, very, very interesting.
More so than making shoes, at the very least.
Oh, yeah. I mean, think about it. If Paul Freeman remained to be a cobbler the rest of his life, me and you would not be talking about Paul Freeman right now.
Okay. I just found more about his shoe history. So, Bob Titmus, another cryptozoologist who is anti-Paul Freeman. Yeah. He is an honorary member of the International Society of Cryptozoology for his field research on Bigfoot. He does not believe Freeman is a credible witness because he has a history of attempting to fake Bigfoot tracks.
I knew it.
Yes. And Freeman had once worked for an orthopedic shoe company and a cobbler in Portland, Oregon. So we're still up northwest.
Still up there.
Yeah. Said that a plaster foot showing dermal ridges and valleys might be made from a mold of the human foot. So it might have just been his own feet.
Do you think he had big feet?
Well, I feel like he could enlarge them.
Yeah, I mean, he was probably a really skilled cobbler.
Probably. He worked at an orthopedic shoe company. That takes some
Oh.
skill, I feel like.
I mean, that's pretty high up in the foot business.
A lot of foot molding probably goes into that.
Very, very smart. Oh my gosh. And what was this man's name?
Paul Freeman?
No.
His name is Bob Titmus.
Bob Titmus. Interesting. And he was anti-Paul Freeman, so they were rivals.
But he is still a Bigfoot believer.
Yes, he is, but
Titmus
he
is.
was just saying that our boy Paul Freeman was like
Is a faker.
faker,
A poser.
phony.
Yeah.
Interesting.
He wrote a whole academic journal about it. He was like,
Wow, that's a hater.
he was like, cancel Paul Freeman.
That's a hater.
Yes,
I mean, yeah,
professional hater.
that is professional hating at its finest. Amazing. I had no idea that there was beef in the Bigfoot world.
It goes pretty far back,
I
apparently.
mean, yeah. So, I mean, if you got to figure, and there might be other names out there, those two.
Oh, there are.
Those two have to be our founding fathers
Probably.
of Bigfoot.
I would say there's maybe a handful of others, like one or two others maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, it seems like Paul Freeman kind of worked on his own. Kind of seemed like a solo kind of guy.
Oh, he was a rogue. Like
The gorilla.
the gorilla.
Interesting. A lot of rogues going on. But our Rob Titmus seems to, he might have had a team with him.
He also seems to be more respected in the Bigfoot world.
In the world of cryptozoology.
Yes, because he's an honorary member due to his field research on Bigfoot. Meanwhile, Paul Freeman, everybody's like, oh, this guy's a joke. Like, he's just lying for fun.
He just wants to be a part of the organization.
Yeah.
That's disgusting. I mean, think about how much that must hurt a man like Rob Titmus, who has made, this has been his whole life.
Yeah. This is
And then all of a
life's
sudden,
work.
some cobbler just comes in. He's like, I've seen Bigfoot too. Liar.
Liar.
How could he? I don't know. Getting away from our cryptozoology guys, I mean, I don't know what the requirements are to be a cryptozoologist. I'm not going to put it that high up there, but in my professional opinion, because I've watched a lot and read a lot about Bigfoot.
Finding Bigfoot.
Finding Bigfoot actually is an entertaining show.
I think you're more qualified than I am.
When I first started watching, I was swaying towards the side of this guy is real.
Okay.
But then,
did the show itself
We were
convince you
like,
otherwise because of how gimmicky it was?
the first season, I was like, okay,
Wow.
you know, I got to tell people that Bigfoot's real. But then all of a sudden, we're 5 seasons into finding Bigfoot.
Okay.
And I'm like, I don't think we're going to find him anytime soon.
So they should have really just quit while they were ahead.
Oh, and they had me hooked. I was like,
Wow.
every now and then, if I were to drive by a lot of woods, I'm like, I might see him.
Oh my God.
But then all of a sudden, the whole tree knocking,
Oh.
Bigfoot
Did they
submerging
ever, like-
himself in water
Did they ever think that they caught him on camera? Like, was
so many times.
so many times.
They had infrared cameras and they were like, oh my gosh, what is that over there? And then they'd run over there. They're looking at it. They can see it. And then as soon as they get close enough to see it,
like disappears.
nothing's there. Oh my gosh. There was one episode where they were using the infrared cameras and they saw something and they were like, they went to go like fidget or whatever.
Okay.
And then when they pulled back up the camera, they saw it again. But then the infrared camera battery died.
Oh.
And I was like,
For those of you listening, Joel just said that in air quotes.
Oh, yes, I
the
forgot.
camera battery died.
Yes, camera battery died, which I was like,
How convenient.
I know. And so I was like, man, we're 4 seasons into this.
Okay. They should have left it at 1 season, left all of you hanging. And I think they'd have a whole new generation of like Bigfoot loyalists.
I agree. I mean, like I said, I do not believe in Bigfoot. I just can't. I just feel like no matter how many amazing cryptozoologists we have in this planet, I just can't believe it. I just feel like we have found so many things on other land mammals. How is it possible that one thing we cannot have any true hard evidence on? No bones, no real photos, no anything. I mean, you got to figure, if this was a serious thing, why isn't like professionals going out to get him? Do you think they're like the government? They were like, hey, we need to find Bigfoot.
Do you think they ever have done that?
Oh my gosh. Do you think that they did find Bigfoot and they're keeping it secret?
In Area 51.
It always circles back to Area
That's
51.
why we haven't gotten any new footage of him since the 90s.
Oh my gosh. So maybe they found Bigfoot
Maybe they captured Paul Freeman.
in 2003?
Yes.
Interesting. 1943 to 2003. What is that?
No, I think he probably lived a long life, a long and happy life.
Is
But
that-
I do think they have Bigfoot.
Is that 60 years?
Yes. Well,
That's a young man.
but
Not a
now,
young
though,
man,
he'd
but
be
60
about,
is
he'd
60.
be about 80 now. So if they did capture him, I don't know how he's doing.
I mean, he could
But
be
they
in
might have
Area
Bigfoot
51.
and Bigfoot offspring in
I
Area
mean,
51.
obviously, if they were to, you got to think about the government. If they were to see the whole Bigfoot thing, they'd be like, whoa, what is that?
Yeah.
We need to get a handle of
Like,
that.
have you ever seen E.T.? Like, that's the first thing they do.
They're like, we got to get that in our possession.
Yeah,
So maybe they took him and they're just testing him.
maybe.
They want to see if, I mean, maybe they took him and he's just a rogue gorilla. And
Maybe
they were like,
just
this is
returned
pointless.
him to, like, the jungle.
Because he's just a gorilla.
Because he's just a gorilla.
And here we are
Or to
thinking
Mount
that Bigfoot.
Fuji, because he's a Yeti. Maybe they just returned him.
I don't know when the first Yeti
But he's like
evidence
the same guy.
was.
I don't know. I'm still just stuck on the hair samples. Like, what were those 2 samples that we couldn't match to anything?
That is interesting. I mean, definitely that's
Maybe
weird.
it's because they were like synthetic and they were part of Paul Freeman's costume.
Were they found by Paul Freeman?
No.
Okay, I was
And
gonna say.
they were real. They were like, these hunters were like, I got this anomalous primate and I don't know what it is. Test the hairs. So I don't really know. I know.
That is very weird.
Yeah.
I wonder what.
I wonder.
I mean, I don't know. What would the government want to do with Bigfoot? What would be the purpose? What is that? Just research? I don't know.
Maybe to just keep him out of the hands of other interested countries. Maybe it's like a nationalist venture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think other countries saw that we had Bigfoot and then they copied off of us? Like the Yeti?
And I feel like countries where the internet was widely used during, this was like pre-internet.
Yeah.
I don't know. This might have been a semi-local thing.
You know what? You just said that pre-internet, which made me think of this. You said that first footage was when? 1960s?
67.
What did he record it on? I mean, I know there was like ways to photograph and stuff like that, but I mean, so he just happened to be riding horses with his buddy, and then he was like, "Oh, dude, let me bring my camera."
I know. I've thought of that too. But maybe he was a videographer. Like maybe they were going somewhere.
They were riding the horses to go take some cool videos, and they just happened to stumble upon Bigfoot.
Yeah. Maybe the horses were part of the cool video.
I think one of the best things you said is imagine if you saw Bigfoot and you were like,
that's what I'm saying.
"Oh my gosh, I saw Bigfoot. He's real." And everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, you're crazy."
Yeah, like believe in him or not. Imagine you're camping or your car is stranded on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere, and all of a sudden you look across the road and Bigfoot's just there. Nobody would believe you.
No one would. And you know what? We have to blame people like Paul Freeman for this.
Yes.
Because he did so many phony things that he ruined it for people like Rob Titmus and the rest of us. To where if we were to see Bigfoot, now everyone thinks we're crazy. So sad. Okay, let's go with final judgment here. What are you saying? Are you pro Bigfoot?
I'm pro Bigfoot, although I won't claim to know whether Bigfoot is a man in a costume or if he's in Area 51 or if he died. But he was definitely maybe there at some point.
I think that's a perfectly open-ended judgment.
Thank you.
I mean, no one can tell you that Bigfoot was not on this planet ever.
True.
They can tell you he's not now, maybe.
Yeah, for sure.
But he might have been. And you know what? I like that.
Okay.
I like that enough to where I think I'm going to agree with you.
We're in agreement.
So this has been decided.
This has been decided.
This has been decided that we both think that Bigfoot was here.
In some form or another.
Okay. Yeah. I think Bigfoot was here. I mean, why would people just make up this weird creature? I mean, we couldn't think of anything more crazy if it was fake. I mean, it just looks like a rogue gorilla.
Yeah, and maybe that's all it ever was.
Was that a gorilla? And everyone was like, well, that gorilla has big feet. That could have been all of us.
Could have been.
And everyone was like, okay. Well, hey, that was the Undecided Podcast, and the verdict was that Bigfoot was here.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to go with. Well, guys, I've been Joel.
I'm Layla, and thank you guys so much for listening.